Hey, welcome back to Florida Stacker on YouTube. I'm Florida Stacker, and I've got a special guest with us today. This is going to be a podcast style video. We're going to learn about Hertz Energy, and I've got Cal Mahi, the CEO of Hertz Energy here. We're going to talk about their lithium play, as well as what's going on up in northern Canada with uranium. Now, Hertz Energy is a diversified lithium exploration company with properties in Canada, in Arizona, in the United States, as well as in Brazil. Mr. Mahi is the founder of Bull Run Capital, and he is an experienced investor as well as battery metals. I would say an expert in the region in northern Canada. So we'll get to some specific questions about what's going on in James Bay. Hertz owns several properties, as mentioned, including 100% ownership, which is important. So let's go ahead and get with our first question. But before then, how you doing today, sir? And where in the world are you coming to us from today? As you know, I'm down here in Florida.
I'm good, Florida. I'm based out of rainy Vancouver. So it's sunny today. We're in the start of spring, but I'm in Vancouver.
Beautiful city. I've been up there for a grand total of 2 days in my entire life. I'd like to start out, however, talking about the James Bay region of northern Quebec. Now, I read that this region is worth around about $16 billion when you add all the properties together, based on the minerals that are in the ground. What's so special about James Bay?
Well, James Bay is known as a mineral-rich region. Quebec overall is very mineral-rich. It's also a very politically stable region of Canada for mining. Permitting is very reliable, easy. There's also infrastructure. The access to power is it's got one of the cheapest sources of power there. And recently, James Bay has become a world-class lithium district with a number of lithium discoveries in the region. There's a company called Patriot Battery Metals, has what could be one of the largest lithium discoveries in James Bay. And because of that, there's been a big rush and a big number of lithium discoveries in James Bay.
So I understand that with the green energy movement, lithium has become a word that's much more common. You see a lot of news articles about uranium and lithium associated with electric vehicles. I consider it a critical path for corporations to secure their supply chains in order to continue to source EV batteries. But how strong is the demand today, now in 2024? Is it really there?
Lord, if I can just back up a little bit, when you said, investment opportunities in, from my understanding, come in generational opportunities. When we had the internet craze, that was a generational investment opportunity that created many millionaires. And one thing that tells me that it's a generational opportunity is when new words are created. Now we have EV is a new word in our society, EV vehicles, right? Electric vehicles are a big thing, and they're here to stay. And the batteries to power electric vehicles, as well as cell phones and laptops with electric vehicles. So lithium is also here to stay. And lithium up until now was a prescription. It was a pharmaceutical. And now it's become a different meaning for lithium. But along with lithium in the mining circle are two new words that have become mainstream, and those are pegmatite and spodumene. And so in my world, I know it's a generation opportunity because those are three new words, if we talk about lithium, that are being created. And that says generational investment opportunity. So that's where we are, I believe, in lithium.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I'm in my mid 40s, and I don't remember hearing much about lithium outside of about maybe 5, 6, 7 years back. So it's definitely, I know it's been around forever. I'm just saying it's not something that I've discussed, I should say, as a potential investment opportunity, namely. Speaking of investing and in the James Bay region, I'm a little curious, how's the quality of the lithium that comes out of northern Canada as compared to, say, Chile or Australia or some of the other famous areas of the world that lithium is known to come from?
Florida, there's two types of lithium. There's hard rock lithium, which comes from mining in mostly up until now is Australia based. And then there's lithium brines, which comes from salars, which is Latin American based, Chile, Argentina, Bolivia. And up until now, Australia has dominated the supply of lithium with hard rock. We've seen some brine lithium come on stream. But hard rock lithium is going to be the source of lithium going forward. And Canada's come very strong in the last 2 or 3 years with new discoveries, where we're now probably overtaking Australia for hard rock lithium deposits.
Okay, so I've seen images in the past of, I would say, a lithium farm. So that would that be the brine that you referred to? If it's kind of like
Yes.
almost looks like a rice paddy to put it
Yeah.
in very
Those
simple.
are the salars. So they basically have to pump the lithium concentrate up into a pond. It has to sit for a certain time period. It has to evaporate, and then the lithium is recovered. So it's a very time-consuming um, um, process of recovery. And I'm not a technical expert, so I don't want to say the wrong thing. But the hard rock lithium is your conventional mining, as you would like any other commodity.
I see. Speaking of extraction, I noticed when I was on your website earlier today, and that is hertzlithium.com for anyone listening in that would like to check out the website while listening today. I noticed that you partnered with Penn State University. Most of us have heard of Penn State University. It's a Big Ten college and well-known research university. And you've partnered with them to further develop technologies for direct extraction of lithium. Can you tell us more about that partnership and process?
Yeah, as I mentioned, we've got lots of new lithium discoveries, hard rock lithium discoveries. Patriot Battery has the biggest discovery in James Bay, like I mentioned. There's many others in Canada and Ontario, as well as Quebec. Um, but while we have a lot of new discoveries and lithium has become mainstream, very little work has been done on how do you extract it in the most environmentally and efficiently. And Penn State has a technology that they started to patent about 2 years ago, which we licensed. So we're partnered with Penn State to develop that lithium extraction technology. And that technology can not only be used on our projects if we did have fine deposits, but it can be used on any hard rock lithium deposit in the world that we can license out.
Okay, yeah, that was going to be my question then. If you own the rights to it, I'm assuming that if it's successful, that others in the space would probably like to benefit from it. Is there any type of ESG requirement for you to go this route, or is this strictly a corporate initiative to extract lithium in a more economically, well,
I guess
world-friendly way, I should say?
Well, first and foremost, it is an economic necessity to streamline how do you extract it, but it is an ESG. It is more environmentally friendly, less in power intensive, and it does improve the extraction percentages of what you get out of the extraction process. So it hits on all three parts of the spectrum.
Okay, so it's both better for the planet, it makes it more affordable, and it's also something that could potentially be a revenue source for your company going forward. So that's all good news. I also learned recently that GM, just one company in particular, has been working to secure its own personal supply chain for lithium as part of its battery production. One of my questions for you is, do you see like nation states like the United States Congress, for instance, taking action to secure its own auto industry's strategic needs for lithium, or have we not quite gotten to that point yet, as far as it being a strategic requirement for energy production?
No, Florida, I think a topic we need to mention is we've seen the price of lithium go up in the last 2 years, very strong, and then it's come back down. And the reason for that was lithium was consumed mostly in China. And recently, China has had an economic, I guess, a collapse. It's
Yeah.
not very well publicized out of the communist country, but because of that, the price of lithium has dropped. But at the same time, we're seeing economies for lithium and electric vehicles build outside of China. Up until now, most of that was done in China. Now countries are now getting to stages where they have critical mineral strategies, where they're protecting their critical minerals. They're also encouraging manufacturing in their own countries. In Canada alone, we've seen about $12 billion in funding for electric vehicles plus electric vehicle battery plants to be built. So we're seeing an economy where there is going to be a supply or consumption of lithium outside of China. and in each country, and especially in North America. So although we've seen a collapse in price because we were so reliant on China, the economy is building outside of China. And I think, there's no doubt that lithium is here to stay for the long term. And we've just seen a bit of a blip in the price. And I believe it'll be a recovery and it'll be here for the long term.
Right. So short-term demand is down in China based on what's happening in that country right now. And as you mentioned, it's really hard to get accurate details out of what's happening in that country. But you foresee Western requirements and needs for lithium continuing to increase, which does bring me to my next question. Outside of EVs, which we touched on, electric vehicles, are there any other industries where you see demand for lithium increasing over the next, let's say, decade?
Well, electric vehicles is one, but you look at laptops, anything that's electronic needs a battery, and most of them are lithium. So there is a very strong market coming. I mean, you can't walk around the world without anything that's not powered by a battery nowadays. And most of those batteries are powered by lithium. And that's why we think, this is a generational investment opportunity.
Getting back to the generational investment opportunity, you relate it to something like the internet, right? In the late 90s or the early 2000s. Do you see it that way, or is it a certain time period that you recommend folks focus some attention on learning about investing in battery metals like lithium, or is it an opportunity that will escape us if we don't if we're not early to the game? I guess is a good way to look at it.
Well, in my life as an investor, if I look back, I can pinpoint when major generational opportunities came forward and when big investments and big returns on those, millionaires or billionaires were made. And the internet bubble is one example, right? When the internet came around, first the word internet was not known. Then the word Yahoo and Google sounded crazy, right? So that demonstrated that it was a generational opportunity. And I equate lithium as such. Lithium, like I said, was not a main word up until now, but more so spodumene and pegmatite. So when I hear new words being created, it tells me that it is a demonstrated generational opportunity. And generational opportunities always do create big investment opportunities. And I think that's where we are in lithium.
That's great to know. Thank you for sharing that. So would you say today that the biggest risk is China, or is there another risk to lithium? I would say demand continuing going forward and gradual spot price increases.
I'm a little biased being the CEO of a lithium exploration company, but I see I see lithium is here, but there is always risk, right? In terms of mineral exploration, there's risk and reward, and we have to be strategic in how we deploy capital and how we provide returns. The other risk is how quickly do electric vehicles get taken up by the consumer, right? And I think that depends on how quickly do we get charging stations out deployed and all of that. But I think there's no doubt that's going to happen, and it's happening around the world, and the governments are funding that. So I believe it's here. It may not be as fast as some people want it to be, but it's here.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Where I work, they actually just recently installed solar roofing in certain areas of the parking lot, strictly for EVs to charge.
Yeah.
So they pull in and they can be charged while they're, at their workday. The rest of us still have to go to the gas station. I personally invest in certain EV minerals and actually even some producers of cars, but I don't own one. But I know that a lot of people, like you said, are kind of waiting to see more of a mainstream adoption. It feels like there's a lot more. It feels like there's a lot of talk about electric vehicles, but as mentioned, the charging stations and other infrastructure to support large scale adoption is still maybe a year, a couple years, half a decade or so away. But the investment is definitely there. So we touched on my question for you about risk. What would you say is the greatest opportunity then right now for a potential investor when it comes to lithium?
Well, I guess in lithium, if investors are looking at mineral exploration, I think they have to look for a company that's got a project portfolio that's strong. we're a bit of a unique company. We're not a single project company. We've got multiple projects in lithium, Arizona, James Bay, Brazil. Our projects are district scale. They're also located in the heart of new discoveries happening around us. We're also recently acquired a uranium project, which speaks to the energy metals focus. On top of that, we have our Penn State technology. So we're diversified. We have many shots at likelihood of success. Beyond that, we're also a different beast in terms of a junior mining company in that we're not relying on retail investors for majority of our funding. We listed recently. We were backed by Canaccord Capital, which is one of Canada's largest brokerages. We were the only IPO they did in 2023. And we're also backed by another listed company, which I'm a part of, called Colored Ties. It's listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange, as well as with my personal company. So we've got strong capital markets backing, plus the diversity of portfolios. So, we're here to stay, and we're, laser focused on providing good returns to our shareholders with aggressive exploration programs. And we just closed a financing for $2.5 million at the end of 2023. So we're funded to go ahead with our programs this year.
That's outstanding to hear. So on the financial side of things, looking very healthy. Where are you today with both of the projects, the AC/DC project as well as the Snake project? Or you could just speak about one or the other in terms of actual drilling. Have you begun drilling on either of those properties yet today?
Florida, last year, James Bay had a fire season, so the exploration season was very limited. We only had 2 days to get to our AC/DC project. Our AC/DC project is now joined by a project that Rio Tinto acquired after us. And obviously, as you know, Rio Tinto is a monster in mining. And
Yeah.
we share the same geology. We're 250 square kilometers in size. They're about 350 square kilometers. Our other project, the Mascor project, is also in the middle of new discoveries. It's also a district scale project. So we're eager to get onto the ground. It opens for exploration in May or so. And like I said, we've got the funding, we've got the exploration teams. We're just itching to get out there.
Obviously, weather is a concern for those that may not understand where James Bay is at. It's at the very top of Quebec. So very close, getting close to the Arctic Circle, I would assume, without looking at a map directly. I can imagine that there is a season when it comes to operating up there due to the weather.
Yeah, and then when the exploration season opens from May till about September, and unfortunately last year, Canada and even parts of the U.S. had a bad fire season, and James Bay was part of that. So exploration was halted all year last year.
Okay, so when you said fire, you mean an actual
Forest
environmental
fires.
impact. That okay? Now I'm understanding a little better. When you use fire at first, I thought it was
Sorry.
emergency, a short time frame. So thanks for sharing all that information. It seems like you guys are in the right location. You're well capitalized. You have a lot of experience yourself in battery metals, uranium and lithium. Anyone listening out there today, what is the best way for a potential investor to reach out to Hertz Energy and learn more about your company in particular and investing in lithium?
Our website is there, HZLIF.com or HertzEnergy.com. Both work. And, I'm readily available. All our news releases have my contact information, my cell number, my email, and our other executives are also available to answer any inquiries.
Oh, well, thank you for that. I will go ahead and post a link to the actual website in the video description section, along with a link directly to where you have investor information, as well as some information on the projects up in the James Bay region of Canada, so that anyone watching today, no need to have to Google anything. You can just hit those links and it will take you directly to the information. Once more, this was Kai Mauhi with Hertz Energy, and I really appreciate you being here today on Florida Stacker. Anything else you'd like to share with my audience before we end today?
No, Florida, thanks for having us. And anybody that's new to critical minerals, just search critical minerals and you'll see every government is out there to protect each country's supply and to fund its nationalization. So I think we're at the right place at the right time for an investment.
So you being here in North America is a good thing. It feels
Yes.
that the way the world is today, that's a good
Yes.
thing. So,
Yes,
well,
it
thank you
is.
all again for your time. Really nice meeting you, and I hope to speak with you again in the future. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching our video. I hope you subscribe to our YouTube channel.